The daughter of a Samoan migrant who settled in Aotearoa, New Zealand and witnessed the traumatic impacts brought on by the dawn raids during the 1970s, wants the government to take heed of her mother's last fight for justice. 84-year-old Taupau Makalita Edwards, who this year has been diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, wants pathways to residence for all migrants. Lydia Lewis spoke with her daughter, Fiu Mesepa Edwards.
In 2021, when the dawn raid apology happened, there was funding that was set aside for the Pacifica community to use to help find ways to heal our communities because of the dawn raids. So I was actually approached by a very dear friend who had applied for some funding through the Ministry of Pacific People to facilitate a local workshop in our area, because he was approached by two Pākehā kids who asked him about what is the Polynesian Panthers and what was the dawn raids. But then he also said to me, can you find some people who would be prepared to share their testimony about their experiences of the dawn raid? And so I said, sure, there's a number of people I could ring up now. No, I didn't even think about my mum. I wasn't even thinking about her. But every person I asked, they all declined. And they didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want to bring up the past. They didn't want to share that story because it was too traumatic. So I was going, oh my gosh, who am I going to ask? Who am I going to ask? And I actually went and asked my mum, does she know anyone who has had an experience of the dawn raids who'd be willing to share their testimony? And it was from that moment that my mum opened up and told me her experience. And that was the first time I had heard my mum's story. And I just broke down, because it was just like I had no idea. My siblings, none of us had any idea that my mum had experienced what she went through during that time of the dawn raids. And so I then had to ask my mum, would you be willing and prepared to share your story in a public forum? And she was very hesitant, and then in the end she agreed.
This is a snippet of 84-year-old Taupau Makalita Edwards' story.
When we see on TV, here on the radio, Muldoon was announced, all the Pacific Island people will return back to Samoa, or return back to the Pacific, and all Maoris are returned back up north. And I, one of them, are in that situation. I'm Samoa, my husband is Maori. Now, a very hard decision to make, and a fear, living in fear of, if now will turn me back to Samoa, and my husband return up north, what happened to the 4 kids? Are we going to split my husband and separate my kids? So what's happened? So can you imagine that fear you're living with at the time? So scary, so scary. Was it a good Prime Minister or not a good Prime Minister? What was he trying to do with the people? And yet they're wanting the Pacific Island to come here to work, because there were not many people work for New Zealand. So we can. I am not an overstayer. I fix my papers properly, and I can. And what happened? I thought I was going to be happy, but it wasn't.
Living in the outskirts of Auckland Central, she managed to avoid deportation, even though she had her papers. Rejected by her community for marrying the man who she loved, who was Māori, she was living in silence, in absolute terror.
There was not a dry eye in the audience. We thought we need to do one for our own community now. Mum's the only one of this age group who's actually had the courage to come forward.
Courage, a word that Taupau wants the young people of today to cling on to.
I would love the new generation to speak up. And because there is injustice in here, the government or whoever is an injustice and also like racism. So speak up for your right. There should not be an injustice. Everybody's the same. The Palani, the Maori, the Pacific Island, whatever, all the people are the same. So stand on your 2 feet and speak up for your right. I'm 83. Don't let the truth die with you.
And as she stares down stage 4 cancer, she has a question for politicians.
What about the pathway to residency? That would be nice to pay that, to recognize the pathway of residency for our people. That will be reserved for future generations. Don't let you go down with your story. The truth is in you. So tell your story just like I tell mine. It was painful, but it was healing. It was healing. So tell your story.
She told her daughter she wanted to organise a peace march to remember what happened. So, at the weekend that has just passed, her vision of a peace march came to life. In the pouring rain, in Ponsonby, in Aotearoa, she was pushed in a wheelchair in a silent march that she dreamt up to remember the atrocities of the 70s and call on whoever is in power after the 2023 election to ensure pathways to residence for all migrants.